First conflict make globalization sustainable approach trade and democratic peace to stabilize economic growth by protecting things like sea lanes and communication and providing credible backing to alliances that dictate the global market. That's our net evidence. They have not extended a piece of impact defense, which should be reframed for analysis of the hegemony definitively stops all conflicts from escalating, which means there's no scenario in a world of the negative and voting in a world of the affirmative where escalation can occur only in a world of voting negative. It solves their growth impact. You should default to empirics as a conceded block argument. This is the argument that we conceded from the block. Economic plan is empirically not cause conflicts in the U.S. has become a hegemony, which means filter your reading of all their impact evidence. Hegemony also de-escalate other conflicts as well. Also independently, the Tilford card was cited and flagged in the 1AR as an independent reason that the 2AR should not be implemented. Even if cyber terror is unsuccessful, it will happen in the status quo way and cause irrational retaliation to the U.S. command and control doctrine. Our evidence cites an Army insider, which means it avoids all their bias arguments and all of the rest of the arguments on the page, because even if there's air gapping, they still try to attack, which causes retaliation in the short term, which is a conceded impact that they have no game on. Now the line behind the grid is not resilient. Our Levin's evidence makes a comparative argument for failures in the past and says the next one will be worse than ever before because of things like increased dependency by the military and the information age, decay of the grid, etc. The America evidence is the most recent site. The DoD insiders and saboteurs asymmetric modification said it's more likely than ever before. You should default to DoD insiders. All their bias arguments about private sector people, not people like Panetta, who does not have a political interest at all, which means that you should prefer our evidence over theirs. There's no way to determine relative levels of bias, which is proven in the cross-sections. Theirs are all news writers and random professors who probably are against cybersecurity, etc. Which means that you cannot establish that the impact will be big. It is not resilient. Our America evidence is pretty good on that. Is pretty good on that question. There's no safeguards fail, and the new technology as well failed. They're intermittent and only last a few days at most. That's our Andres and Robitaille evidence from the 1AC. It's empirically proven. Which means you should prefer a default to SMRs being better. It does not cause air gapping. Stuxnet was not an anomaly. It created an example for future cyber terrorism, which is what our read evidence, which post-states there said. Also, air gapping does not mean that the hegemony does not decline. Our evidence says that there will still be critical military installations that would be attacked and they would not be able to operate. Also, other things could also collapse the grid, which they've conceded. Things like natural disaster, etc. Those will increase in the status quo due to things like climate change. There's not threat conflation that was mentioned above. Alaska is uniquely separate from the hegemony. The grid is uniquely likely and vulnerable. The 1AR evidence was conceded that they have other issues like snow, etc. that the plan would be able to resolve. Yes, there is a war. There is no cooperation. Our task in our evidence post-states there just from 3 months ago says that the Arctic is melting and resource grabs and territorial disputes will happen in the status quo, which means that subs cannot solve it. They need fuel, which will be cut off. Only the plan resolves that. And Russia is trying to match us, which means that they will have the subs in the short term, which means that we need the SMRs to island those bases in order to outweigh Russian aggression. That's the largest impact because of Russia. U.S. war goes nuclear due to accidental launch retaliation. They have the most nuclear arsenal, which is conceded 2AC framing on debate. Now the water advantage. They've conceded that it's scenarios for extinction. Even if the dissent turns hegemony, it doesn't independently solve hegemony, which means we control uniqueness for external threat. That was claimed above. Indo-Pac and Middle Eastern war coming now over water. Those escalate no scenario for cooperation. That's the 2AC evidence. Only extends generic defense. It's not true. They can see the absent example of the kind of tech that causes cooperation, which means it's only true in the world of the plan. You shouldn't just read all of his cards for him. It's the defensive at best. Any risks that are more specific scenarios for conflict means you should want affirmative. Riley evidence proves conflicts escalate and go nuclear means a high risk conflict. That's independently a suffering impact. Billions die in the short term excessive time frame, which is a reason to vote affirmative. We do get new 1AR cards. They are all explicit extensions of 2AC arguments. We should also get to respond to new block developments. It's the only fair interpretation. Otherwise, new dissent to the block means the ath loses every round. He also doesn't impact new 1AR arguments. He just asserts it every time. The point of the debate is clash and argumentation. If we're right about the warrants of arguments about rational decision maker should vote affirmative. Also, you should prefer go to the DA now. You should prefer magnitude over time frame. Extinction outweighs. It's the only irreversible impact. We can recover from things like economic decline, but not U.S.-Russia war and loss of hegemony. Also, it's the most live default to a utilitarian framework. We should act to preserve the most lives possible. It's only the rational, non-arbitrary range policies. We encompass their impacts. Any risk of our case impacts have a higher magnitude because it would offset the lives triggered by the DA. Only risk voting after better time frame is a bad calculus. It makes irrational choices like saving 10 people now to let a billion die later. They also don't access to short internal links. It does not mean that they have a short time frame for their impact ruined by the 2008 recession, causing war breakout. There's also no immediate depression that it doesn't turn, which means it does not turn the case to Germany will collapse in the status quo due to these cyber terror attacks, as well as the loss of critical mission installations, which means that they have no uniqueness for turning the hegemony advantage. Also, our 2AC 1AR and 2AC Corn evidence says that the cuts will be spread out on the military over 3 years, which means that it does not tank hegemony in the short term, which means that only the plan resolves that, and it's not a big enough defense cut. It brings us back to 2000 levels, which is not really that relevant if we have a stable and effective military, which only the plan can solve. There's no way for a Middle Eastern war to empirically denied from escalating in a world of hegemony, which is empirically proven. Also, hegemony SMRs also there's no economy impact. All the TIM evidence in the 1AR as well as the 2AC says that it's a slope, not a cliff, which means that the impact on the economy will not be justified. Our evidence cites Zandy. He's the chief economist at Moody, which means you should prefer it. It's better than their word, which journalists citing rhetoric about wild claps. Now the uniqueness overwhelms the debate. There is no chance the fiscal cliff will get resolved. All of their cards will get rid. There's only a chance the fiscal cliff will get resolved. All their cards cite external reasons why the deal will reach outside capital. Downing says both have little chance but to strive for a compromise. Feller says compromise has become mandatory if the two leaders want to avoid economic harm. Washington Post is the most damning when it says Republicans will face intense pressure from their own supporters in the business community to agree to a deal, which proves that the plan does not change anything about the negotiations, which will inevitably happen because they want to avert an economic climb empirically proven by things like the debt ceiling in the past couple of years. There's also no link which bolsters our second argument. First of all, their evidence does not post-date. We do have all of our evidence in the context of clean energy and military. They have no cards in the context of the fiscal cliff, which only we do. You should read this Matthews card. It's the best card I've ever seen. It says that it's virtually impossible that the executive could get fuzzled in to fiscal cliff negotiation, and going through the executive shields, the merchant evidence, as well as the 2AC evidence, says that no politician can oppose helping the military, and it's specific to clean energy means you should vote on that. There's no impact to see substantial reasonability solves it. That we do increase money even if it's already appropriated. That's still a substantial increase, and they've conceded that also. That you just not reject new cards. That was all answered above.